Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. Coming live by Barrett Kunyan.
Well, here we are. Randy Kaiser, welcome to Activator. And this has been one of those great spontaneous moments where we just connected maybe about half an hour ago, and we decided to have a conversation about blah. And, does it need an introduction? I don't know, but I'll hand it to you, Randall. I mean, it's always an honor, pleasure to be in your beautiful company. And how are you? How's life in general?
Life is perfect, always moving toward completion. Time is something that it's another human story, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what blah means. Blah is natural, and blah is what all other creatures, what all other life functions with. We tell stories with words. That's what makes us different. It's amazing what we're doing. We're just storytellers compared to the rest of life.
I mean, it was one of those great spontaneous moments. And I just recently, I think it was early part of today or last night, I had the pleasure of once again connecting to one of your videos, YouTube. And I could sense something a little bit different about your voice this time round. I mean, it's I'm not sure what kind of words I'm going to attach to it, but but I could sense a lot of happiness and connection, and it's like, yeah, something has happened, and it, it's taking shape, and it's really exciting, isn't it? The energies that are upon us.
It is. Once you realize that it's always been there, it's never been anything but, like it's the now moment. It's the perfection that we're both talking about. We're using a little bit different words right now, but the shift has already happened, and it's like amazing. I mean, for me personally, it's shifting constantly, and I've been down here in Iowa for a month and a half of Valentine's Day, living in bliss,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that makes a difference too. When you find someone that actually comprehends, I'm not going to say understands, comprehends the words that I'm using and actually resonates with them, it's blissful, because the only other place to find that kind of bliss is on our own. But it's really cool and exciting.
Yeah, I mean, two or more gathered, and you have that connection. It's really exciting. I can feel and relate to that big time, brother. I mean, nobody wants a crystal ball. Nobody needs anything because when you're in the now, you are a procreator, so you don't need some kind of GPS system to help navigate through, because it's no longer an illusion, right? It's the clarity between yourself and the God realization, and the ability to make a statement, and to have that visualization. So once you begin to visualize, and you just send it out there, and it will manifest. I mean, that's the name of the game, isn't it? Really,
it always does.
you know.
Doesn't
So
matter what we think about or wish for or whatever you want to call it. It always happens because you're the one that's creating it. And if we look to the outer to get an answer, then we're going to fall into judgment of some kind. We're going to try and have to discern something or decide something based on some outer experience. Everything can happen from inside. If you see something, then you're the one to get to decide what you see. It's perception.
yeah, totally. And we share passionately so many things in common, and I feel the one that really crystallizes everything is this aspect of being neutral and not taking sides and saying this is right and this is wrong, and walking that path. It's like people tend to be more receptive as well and more open, and openness is so important, to be of an open source, because otherwise people generally feel defensive and they want to defend that so-called fictional character. So once you walk your field of neutrality, it shatters the illusion, and people definitely feel very, I don't want to use the word comfortable because it's not always necessarily comfortable. uh, One can trigger certain aspects, and that's coming from a place of purity, because if your intentions are not of the highest, people might not necessarily take to your energy very kindly. But again, you're holding your space, and you're making a very powerful statement and saying, look, I don't want that coming my way, please, without too many words. It's an energetic uh, mission statement, isn't it? Not so much blah 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 blah, but it's like that vortex of energy coming through you and making that powerful presentation. And you do it so well, Randy. I mean, you don't need me to validate that. I mean, you. I mean, it's so natural the way you present everything.
It's as simple as the idea of working with and never
Mhm.
against. I like to bring it down to some very simple phrases like that one, working with and never against. Then you're never in judgment. And people want to pin me into judgment and say, oh, well, yeah, but you said this. Okay. Like whatever you think. If you want to judge that situation, that's your call. And it's worked so well for me. And then the other idea that everything is perfect moving towards completion, right? Those two little simple statements pretty much sum up my life. And when I repeat those things every single fucking day, like I do, I wake up in the morning and I start these breathing exercises and I do my physical exercises with these words in my head. And I'm not going to allow hell words in, because those are heavenly words: abundance, sovereignty, health, love, and euphoria. Is that hell? Any of that? None of it is. So to then hear words throughout the day, and words are what we make stories out of, right? We got to admit that, all of us. So to hear words, or to hear a man see them, as in watch some kind of ridiculous thing on media of any kind, or good things on media of any kind, I won't pin it down to one or the other, then we just bring it within and say, well, is that moving forward? Is it working with and not against? Is it perfect, moving towards complete? Just bring it back to that simplicity once again, and then move on. And then you can imagine, brother, taking that position, if you want to call it that, of non-judgment, and moving into the world of banking where I live, and people and me saying, we are, as I said yesterday, a network of people. Okay, so anybody that uses the word money, anybody that uses the word credit, anybody that uses the word monetary is part of that network automatically, because we're all one. We're all using that one word so we're all there. So Donald Trump, Joe Biden, I'll throw some names out there. Vladimir Putin, GPMS, Jassara Nassara. What other names can I put on it? Banking system, Federal Reserve. That's all our network, because we are simply people in a network, a subnetwork, if you want to use that word now, because we're talking about money, a subnetwork of the bigger network of reality, of mankind's construct, that is actually thinking about and doing things in that subnetwork about, which is monetary, right? So anybody that, and then let me share quickly before I let you talk again here, the reality that I live in from that stuff we talked about earlier, where there's no time and there's no limits and there's nothing but abundance. Then I listen to people's stories, whether it be, a story of gold backed versus credit system, or, birth certificate bonds versus gold backed, any of those kind of stories. Then I say, okay, you choose whatever you want, but are you going to limit it? Are you going to say one is better than the other? Because that doesn't work for me. You can do that if you want. Yeah. And you can say that this is better, but if you're saying it's better, then something must have been worse. Then you're judging again. And then the idea of perfection moving towards completion, you might as well just throw that out the door. Because it is perfect. Everything is, all the time. And when I see something from the outer, like a decision to go to Nassara Jassara, or to, all join hands in a theory of equality and abundance for everyone, okay, that sounds okay. I don't mind. Let you do whatever you feel like doing then. Yeah. But do we have a system currently? Did we, as humanity, create? And I'll use the word create rather than manifest. We manifest within, because manifest is more focused on either self, man, himself, or a group of men. So that's manifestation versus co-creation, which is acceptance of all, which is acceptance that we are it, we are creating it. So as an individual, I participate in co-creation. So we co-created a monetary system as a means of exchange so that we can exist. Or we can just go in the bush, pick a banana once in a while and eat it. That's our choice. Because otherwise, like for you and me to be on social media, we either have to put something into that we've gotten out of it, or get it from somebody else who has gotten something out of it. And I'm talking about a monetary system, because nobody out there that is able to verbalize and speak on social media is out in the bush eating a banana. They're speaking on social media, which means that there has to be some kind of medium of exchange to get to that point. And it either comes from your own participation and your own contribution and acceptance of, something back, or it comes from someone else's contribution and acceptance of something back. So we all live with it and we're all responsible for it. So why not get involved with it if we want to see something a little bit increase, like, adding to, moving towards completion. That idea of increase is always still there. If we want to do that, then participate.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Will. That's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to come and share what's really working as well, and from my take, it's not, and I respect, when we talk about gold, precious metals, and how valuable it is. For me, the gold energy is this. because this is absolutely priceless when you have that God realization and understand the essence of who you are and what you're doing. You know, in a divinely placed you're in a position where you're leaving such a powerful impression, and people in your company, they feel uplifted because you're genuine. What you see is what you get, and you're walking your authenticity. So people feel, you know, if they feel that they're a little bit not sure, and in your company that you feel, they feel uplifted. So from my experience, when I'm in a situation where people find that connectivity, um, they feel that, is there anything I can do for you? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. It's we're not doing it for profit. It's not, you know, some, you remember, I think William, last time, was it end of last year, it's like when we set up this platform called Bioactivator. I think there were some, I think William picked it up a little bit. Not that he was like feeling that there was a commercial aspect to Bioactivator, that we will be trying to launch like and show products, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, by the way. I'm not saying that people should or should not be doing that, but to be in, if you're going to share certain products, then it's you know, it makes sure that the quality hasn't been compromised. So it is of the highest, you know, and that you're not just doing it because of the commercial aspect, and you're going to profit, especially from big pharma and what have you. But yeah, it's very, very powerful when you put yourself as the main, I hate to use the word commodity, but you are it fundamentally. And people, not that you want people to feel indebted to you, but you know your movement is of the highest when you're lifting humanity, and they feel so activated, you know, and there is an air of excitement and laughter and smiles, and because that's the name of the game, isn't it, brother? And that's how you're raising. I mean, the consciousness is already expanding. I mean, the planet is, and I was saying to somebody very dear today. In fact, I was talking to Lee earlier, and we were just talking about the fact that, you know, when you are in that presence, in this moment of being happy, and you know who you are, and it's not a character that you're playing, that's not authentic, you know, it is authentic. People feel so taken by that. It's beyond words, because it's an energy at the end of the word. It's a, you know, you don't need to go blah 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 blah, none of that. You know, we kind of dress it up a little bit, but it's the frequency behind the words that's important, you know.
There's energy in breathing in and out quickly, like
Doing that really,
you know, that's breathing in and out quickly. People call it laughter.
yeah.
But okay, well then laughter is energy. Smiling is energy, because there's something bright in your eyes and in your teeth and stuff like that. That's energy too. So I hear what you're saying, brother. I want to say, you know, like, I don't drink coffee, but my darling and I were sitting here this morning. We said, well, maybe we should have a little Irish cream. I said, well, you already made coffee, so what if I put that in the Irish? So I've got some Irish cream in my coffee. See, it's just like accepting what is and enjoying it and working with it. So it doesn't matter what stage we're talking about. And this is where we'll kind of expand it to to the reality aspect of things, which is every day dealing with people and their stories, and accepting that everyone has a story of their day and of their life and of their time and of all those things, and just receiving that story from them and saying, okay, okay, Donald Trump, okay, Joe Biden, okay, Vladimir Putin, like it's okay. Because I know that in my heart, I know that everything is perfect, moving towards completion anyway. So whatever you choose, it doesn't matter. But what I choose is to think in terms of comfort for every child of God, and through monetary funding, because that's my business. That's where I focus my energy, in the banking and the monetary world, and projects that will benefit all. So non-destructive, moving forward, evolutionary, whatever words you want to use, but working with what we have now. And that doesn't, then you never separate. And it frustrates the shit out of people when I talk like that. Like, why do you want to talk about gold? Okay, let's talk about gold and the value of gold. Who puts the value on gold? It's still a human story. And if there's a limiting story, a ridiculous limiting story that there's only this much gold, well, then you're not going to sell me. Like, seriously, there's a lot more than what you're saying to start with. And then when that whole lot more, the value of it is put on by the humans, we're still just telling stories.
Yeah.
But what you said, and I'm going to probably focus a little bit of this conversation on money, because it is definitely my thing. And it's where I focus my energy. And that, when I originally participated, it was one of the highest level banking families, if not the highest, that there is, the Bauer Rothschild family, and Bauer Rothschild himself. And it surprised him that I was interested, because we were basically talking about common law pure trust. He's a highly intelligent man, quite wise, not as wise as I am, but far more intelligent. Okay, you know what the difference is there, right? So he has all of this intelligence, stored information that he's subconsciously entered into his brain. It's phenomenal. Like, I've never run into any other human with that kind of intelligence. But his wisdom was shackled by his lack of compassion that he didn't have when he was a child. And I recognized that right away. His mother didn't tell him to come in from the backyard, or ask him to come in from the backyard for dinner. Okay, I get it. That's as simple as you have to. I don't need any more stories. I hear it. That's all I needed to hear to see where his limitations are as far as wisdom. Mine are there because my mother loved me to pieces. My father loved me to pieces. They just loved me to pieces. So I started with love, and that's where I started. So then we build stories based on that. Did you want to say something? Sorry.
Oh, I mean, that's. I just wanted to say. I mean, that I was just going to throw in the two words like holding space for people, where you create a comfort zone, but not comfort like you necessarily accept it, but when you bring those energies into neutrality, that it's like the idea when the original idea of confession. If you create a platform where people feel so relaxed to be able to, because people do carry traumas, unhealed wounds, and that if you create that space where it's okay, it's fine, and they're able to talk about it, then they're going to release their blockages. Because people are holding on to things. Because a lot of people, I will choose the words very carefully. They were in survival mode, the way the program was running. And so now they feel more released, they're realized, so that they can release these energies and they begin to thrive. And for me, when you try to define to be rich, is to hold that peacefulness that you leave everywhere you go. And it's like people can't do enough for you. Not that it's unconditional. It's not that you're doing it because it's a formula, it's alchemist that it's going to work. Because where the universe works, you have to send the powerful signal first. you have to visualize it first as if it's already happened, and then you have to be godlike, you know. I mean, to be in the presence. Like, for example, when I'm preparing food, the first person I would like to invite is the God energy to be. And people often say, what magic ingredient is that in here?
Love.
You know? But it is, and you've got to be happy. If you're not happy, you're not going to go higher. People think they can fail, that they can dig their way out. No, you've got to be happy where you're at. Otherwise, you can't go any higher. So it's great that you know, people are beginning to see it, you know, and that's what's raising the consciousness of the planet. And the words like you used earlier, you know, simplify, to simplify everything, because this madness, why people are always, because it's the rat mentality, you know. I mean I've got to get this done so quickly. Why? What's the rush, you know? So it's I find that the you know, the kind of people I surround myself is, the first impression you get that they don't do anything. They look, you know, on the surface they look a little bit lazy because they're so relaxed. It's like they're so still, you know. They do move, but you know, but they're, you know, they feel that they're not really doing much, are they? You know, but boy, I mean, they, you know, the way they're synchronized and connected to the earth energy and the cosmic energy, and how you bring it all into play. It's exciting times. And if I had the opportunity, I'll let you talk in a minute, but if I had the opportunity to be in the presence of even a person who has been labeled as a bad person, because you've got two sides to you. You got the good, you got the bad, you got the sweet, you got the sour. So when you are neutral and they feel relaxed in your company, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, and that's what we want to do then. We say, well, those people don't have souls, or they're non-player character NPCs, or you know, when this race was seeded, they were the fallen angels. All these fucking stories that people come up with. Like, are you fucking kidding me? We're all just people. Every single one of us making choices, and we choose. Every one of us is choosing our life. You can choose to be in heaven right now, like I am. Okay. Or you can choose to fall into hell, which is simply judgment. That's it.
Look, I mean, this word religion, I mean, I've always been very nervous. Well, I'm not anymore, because whenever I was very weary, and I never felt I could speak my mind when I'm sort of around religious people, and they always chapter, you know, Genesis, and I'm like, why? What's all this? You know, wait a minute, so and so said this, but really, I mean, sorry to say, were you there? It sounds like you're, you know, I've had Jehovah's Witnesses knock at the door, and I'm like, you're welcome to come in, but you won't like me. And then why? Because I'll scrutinize every nut and bolt. And they were like, okay, but, and I'll say, what proof do you have anyway? And they're like, well, it says this here. It's clearly marked. Look, can't you read? It says it. And I'm like, sorry, but it's not enough for me. And for me, what is so powerful, and that's what I like about, and it's not mine, by the way. The Bioactivator is it. It doesn't belong to me. And that, it's like when you put out a message, or you know, it's like when you don't have any expectation. A bit like today, Randall. I mean, it's like it's so spontaneous. It's like there isn't that thinking pattern thing involved in this whole situation. I find that a lot of people who do, and I'm not going to slate anyone who sits there for hours thinking about what they should be doing or in their lives, but for me, I don't do the thinking, occasionally a little bit, but it's because there's doubt. Where there's doubt, what is it you're doubting? You're doubting yourself fundamentally,
Of course.
not Dick. Yeah, because everything comes through this, because it's a reflection, you're projecting. So
it's like a businessman talking to a business monk, okay? And the businessman says, for Christ's sake, we could have done this an hour ago. You and your fucking meditation, like tomorrow we're going to talk. And the business monk says, sure, an hour later, because I'm going to meditate for 2 hours tomorrow. Because that's where the answers come, is in silence and quiet and peace. And then it's simple. It's not complex. It's not all of the answers come, like the idea that there's a lack of anything, and that we have to have a limit, and that we should limit the amount that is given through these government organizations to the people. Well, no, they're the creditors, so they need their comfort. So, start off by telling the truth. I want to segue back to that for just a second, because I like my original introduction into the banking world with Bauer Rothschild, because I said to him, well, what are we talking about gold standard versus the credit system, which is the birth certificate bond being a promissory kind of thing on the part of the creditor to create public money, right? And then in the private system, we use more asset-backed stuff than the credit system, even though they've overlapped, and there are people that just get credit, like Donald Trump. He just keeps getting credit and credit. Everybody says, oh, he's a genius. He's a fucking genius in the real estate market. Well, you would be too if you got everything for nothing. Like, you could just, well, you want to build another tower? Give us a couple $100,000 from that last credit that we gave you, and we'll give you another credit. Like, that's how it works. And nobody believes me when I say that. Well, fucking dig into the monetary system, and you'll find out really quickly that credit is how it works at those levels. But when he said versus, I said, well, what do you mean versus? Can't we use both? Like, if you want to tell a story about gold, which I said earlier, it has value, and it's because it's got these limits, whatever, use that. But also use the credit system for the public purse, which the public purse administers comfort to every single human being, every child of God. Well, then you'd have to tell the truth about who the creditors are in the credit system, which is that human energy. And that's why I say okay to both. I'm not going to fight for one and say that the Pope and the patriarchal pricks and their patriarchal papacy bullshit story of the credit system is wrong. It's right if you just tell who the creditor is. All you got to do is tell that one simple truth and say, because you're the creditor, you deserve your comfort. If we're going to build things, if we're going to expand as a construct, a human society, and have infrastructure and everything else, well, then you're going to have to actually do some work. You're going to actually have to participate, or take money from somebody else who has participated. That's the only two choices you have. Yeah. But if you want to just have your comfort, here it is, because we love you, and it's yours in the first place. Just like a coyote can go and get its, food, or a bird can get its, sticks for its nest. Like it's that simple. But we had to go into that idea of one is better than the other. Well, no, we use them both. And then I drugged myself into it. And for a few years, I tried to say, well, okay, this one's better, or that one's better. And I was fricking back and forth, watching a little outer media and trying to put the puzzle together in my mind. And honestly, it's only been maybe the last 6 or 8 months again that I've shifted again myself to say, I was right in the first place. It's all good. Just take what's good out of both systems and add to humanity. The good of the credit system, which says that the human energy is the value, and then say, because you've given your energy, you deserve your comfort. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
You know, on a public level. And then on a private level, as far as building, stick houses versus mud houses or whatever, well, as long as it's good for everyone and everything every day, not just man, everyone and everything every day, then here you go. Here's some money. Go do it.
Mm.
But stick to your word that it's good for everyone.
Two things I want to add to that as well. I mean, thank you for sharing that. It's really good information. But, like when we talk about the birth certificate, now, a lot of people were led to feel or think that it needs to be destroyed. Like, somebody's got it in the, let's say hypothetically, your birth certificate is kept in the vaults for some reason. Okay. The way energy works, the fact that you're aware, the fact that you're conscious destroys that immediately. So I don't feel that you have to go and physically need to destroy that, because it's not something of a destructive nature. It's not like, it's like burning this. It's like, I want to go and burn buildings down. You understand? So you haven't learned your lesson. So when you learn your lesson, when you say that, thank you, the first thing I do, if somebody's walked into my life and turned my house upside down, I've learned something. They've triggered me. They've taught me a lesson, worthy lesson. And so you pay attention to these, and for me, everything is a state of mind from there onwards. Some people, I know we both agree on this, that whether, if you want to define heaven, for example, we create heaven. Heaven is not a place. It's not like the way the Bible describes it. If
I got to pee right now. I'll be right
yeah,
back.
no, absolutely. Take your time. Yeah, take your time. I'll just put the music up a little bit while you're away, and just chill out. It's not too loud. While we wait for. And it's just going to have a pee. Yeah. Just put the music up a little. Wait. Just had the music up while you were away.
Okay.
Put it down there. Yeah.
Heaven is a place, but it's also what you said. You can create it if you want, but it's also a place. It is Mother Earth. That's my belief. Like there's not the only outer heaven that is outside the door of your house. Like, that's heaven.
It has been, I mean, the powers that they were very destructive, and so they caused a lot of bruising. So like where we live, I mean, if I can be a bit candid with you, Randall, where we're living right now, it's a village in the middle of nowhere. One of the main attractions for me was the forest. Since we've been here, they've cut 90%, and my heart bleeds every day when I see people with the operating chainsaws. I mean, I would love to go out there and lash out on them, but I don't. I just pray every day that. So although we say it is heaven, and it will be restored, because she's gone through a lot of, so and it's happening as we speak because people are not tolerating this. And for me, it's like I said, it's like the birth certificate. So it's not being destructive by nature. It's understanding why it's taking place, and the cause and the effect it's having. And the person who is the messenger, who it's like we're not here to necessarily comfort, because you said as well, the administration is there, the structure is there, and a lot of these beings that were behind the offices, I feel they're just gonna let it go one day, and they're just gonna go out, and people with the right intentions will be in the position where they will be saying to people, but not necessarily calling the shots, because I think it'll be power to the people. It's not like, do you also, are you sharing the same kind of feeling that we don't need governments?
No, we need organization, because
Yeah.
otherwise we're just going to flounder. Humanity needs some organization, but government means mind control. Govern,
Exactly.
control, mente, mind. We don't need that. We need guidance. We need some kind
Guardians, mentorships, like to try to put it into some kind of context.
We're always going to have hierarchy. It's impossible to think that everybody is going to be equal, because there's going to be people that choose to study, that choose to learn, that choose to gain knowledge, and choose to gain wisdom. Most of the wisdom comes from reversing all of the knowledge and intelligence and becoming a child again. That's where the wisdom comes. But people are still going to choose those things. So we're never going to eliminate hierarchy. It's impossible. And no other species does either. I mean, you think of it, bees or coyotes or lions or whatever, there's always hierarchy, and that's natural and it's perfect. And they only communicate with roar or blah or tweet, tweet, tweet. We tell stories about it. That's the difference. And we create, we this is where manifestation comes in. So we manifest stories about this that we think are good or bad. So even the forest thing, and the fact that these trees are being cut down, you yourself feel that hurts a little bit somehow. So the only way that we can participate, if we feel that something is hurting us individual, is to participate. And I chose to participate in the banking world and in this idea of these birth certificate bonds and learn about it. So learn about the construct itself, which is a promise based on your signature, sig being fallen from nature. So, the whole mark of the beast, that is what that is. It's your mark. It's your consent. In the case of the birth certificate bond, it's deceptive dissent, because they're using that then to manifest public money and then give it back in the form of benefits. It's a construct. Is it bad? Fuck, look around. I mean, our world has continued to expand exponentially in a sense of superstructure. I won't even call it just infrastructure, in the last 30, 40 years. And all we've been doing that on is the credit system. So, this little town that I'm in right now, I mean, I don't know what people are thinking inside their homes and stuff like that, as far as their fears or their, problems or whatever. But my God, what a beautiful place. Like, there's concrete on all the streets, there's sidewalks, there's places to go and eat. It's just incredible. And we built all that on the credit system. So how can we say, oh, that's bad, we got to go back to the other one or something like that? My God, let's just work with it.
What do you feel, Randall, reference to energy? Sorry, not energy. Technologies that have been suppressed. For example, I'll give you an example. If we had, which we do, well, I haven't seen it as such, but I feel intuitive there is, like if you can power your house on free energy. So you don't need to have bills to pay for your energy, for example. Energy bills are free. So people will feel that it'd be like a sigh of relief, because energy prices, as you know, is just going up all the time. So once these technologies have been released, do you feel that there genuinely there are such technologies? Have you seen it yourself? I mean, we all claim that we've heard stories again, but hand on heart, how many of us have actually seen something of a working mechanism that's producing, let's say, a couple of kilowatt of free energy? Is there such a thing?
Oh,
I mean,
by all means,
yeah,
at all levels. Like on an individual level, there's people doing that. But then once they do it, they want to expand it and sell it or share it.
yeah,
Most sell it, but there are people that want to share it, and then there's suppression. But collectively, like, people don't even hear me when I say, well, what do you think all these silicon towers are doing in every city in the world nowadays? They're collecting that etheric, friction based energy. So there's matter floating in our space around us. There's matter.
yeah,
Most of
yeah,
it is not, but there is a little bit of matter. There's little, if you close your eyes even, you can see it. It's little
yeah,
specks. So
yeah,
that matter is hitting up against something, causing friction and heat. And that friction and heat is gathered, and call it electricity, whatever name you want to put on it. Again, it's all people's choice of words. Goes
yeah,
back into the grid. In Alberta, where I lived, we were using coal. We were using dams and stuff like that. And now they're
yeah.
saying, no, we're going to shut all those things. So they're shutting them all down. Well, where the hell do you think it's coming from now? Well, because we've built these beautiful towers that are spectacular to look at. They've done a good job, and they're pumping it back into the grid through these towers. But again,
So
that
this
story is
conception how energy is produced, it's a myth. It's like,
story.
I mean that, I must confess, that took me by surprise, because I bought it. I mean, we all did a little bit here and there. I mean, we um, that for me was like, yeah, wow. It's like it's like, wow. Do you? I mean, we don't do time anymore. We're saying, okay, it's relative, and it's now on. It's not we're saying it's now or never, but it's like, because first of all, you got to be happy, you got to be content in yourself, but at the same time, you feel that you're the magnet as well, and you're magnetizing it, and when you're walking your peace, and neutralizing, because we are going into places where the energy is not particularly good, but because the ones that are operating it rightly, because or there's right or wrong, but I would say would you say there are universal truths, for example? So if you're doing it in a neutral way, so you're not going out there to destroy anything, you're not there to be destructive, but you're saying, I want to, what you're doing is not, it's not fair, and we want to make it fair, but they mustn't threaten us, that they shouldn't, because they'll be defensive. People will be defensive, and
Wait, just hold on a second.
yeah,
I gotta interrupt you, because you're telling a story, and your story is including
well, I'm
your
playing the
story.
devil.
Wait,
Yeah,
I gotta
I
shut.
stopped. Somebody was trying to call me then.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Yeah, that's mine.
Silent mode on. I'm just gonna turn mine back on, or make sure mine's on. But
No, I'm flicking the coin both sides, so you can see it from that and that.
I know, but I don't. There is no that and that. That's what
Okay.
I wanted to stop you at. Is there's only that, and that's where I wanted to slow it down.
That's mind bending, though, for a lot of people listening to this. it's going to be, you know what I mean? It may not be easy initially, but it is, because you've got to because it's you do it on the small things, and you will see the what, because what you send out is what you're going to get, right? So you have to work it. It's not like someone's going to come and do it for you. You've got to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. So it's like saying that they are suppressing energy. Well,
Yes.
once you know that in your heart,
Yes.
then why would I need to tell anybody else? I just function that way.
Yeah.
You know, I just function in that world, and I stay in heaven, because if I go into the other world, then I'm in hell again, and I'm judging, because it's only judgment that pulls you out of peace. Only judgment, and judgment is fear. So the only place to eliminate that completely is full love and full acceptance of what is.
Yeah.
So these let's call them other people, they have to do that. There's no other way to progress if they don't do that, because, you know, for someone to say to me, okay, there is a pandemic, and
Yeah.
if you don't get a shot, you could be at risk. Well, I'm going to take that inside rather than listen to someone else, and I'm going to say, no, it's perfect. And if it does exist, and if I die, well, that's perfect too. You know, like it, but I don't believe it exists. So
Yeah.
by doing just a little bit of research from the outer, and then taking it all within, you've got all the answers yourself. There's no other way of doing it other than to fall into hell and judgment. If a train gets derailed in Ohio, okay, in Palestine, Ohio, if a train falls off the tracks and a big black cloud goes up into the sky, I hear that and I'm tempted to say, those rotten bastards, or those bad guys, or something like that. And then I say, no matter what we as humans do, Mother Nature is going to cleanse it. And it's okay, because Mother Nature and heaven, which is Mother Nature, cleanses everything. It might take a day or two, it might take a year, it might take a little while, but it might take a second, it might take now, and it's over.
Here's a Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Here's a question. When we look into the night sky and we see few stars, maybe we get the chance to see the moon and what have you. What are these that we're looking at? What
You
do you
get
feel?
you get to decide that too. From myself and my perspective is from a flat earth plane
Right.
perspective, of a heavenly plane. I don't know where the limits are. I'm never going to say there's a fucking edge, just like I don't know there's an edge to the universe or whatever they call outer space. So I'm never going to judge that or say that one is better than the other. But from my perspective, I live on a flat earth plane, and what the stars are lights of some kind, and lights are sound. So there's vibration, just like is the sun a light, or is it a sound and a vibrating source of energy? Well, it's both. So it's these other things are not matter in my mind. They're just light. Matter is something that I can feel and see and touch, and it's resonated together by the energy of what is, you know, the matter that's floating around, and then it forms into something like us, or, you know, a cup or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And people can call that 3D all they like and say that that's the old world. Well, okay, it's up to you, you know, like you can choose that too, but I choose to live in a natural heavenly place where, you know, matter was collected to do this, you know, to make this cup there. But we did it with our hands, you know, and we physically shaped it into something like a cup. So what the stars are and what's reflecting off of that mirror above us, or whatever you want to call the sky, it's just light, and it's just sound, and it's just vibrating energy, and it's beautiful, and you can try and go there if you want.
Oh,
Stanley Kubrick made a movie.
yeah, I mean, it's like, because like I was following David Icke for, sorry, I'm name dropping someone, because like he connected dots, and he put a lot of information out there, which was okay. I mean, I heard things that I'd never heard before, and I remember going to see him, and I went to the 2012 Remember Who You Are. He had like 5,000 people in his. It was Wembley Conference Center. It was really exciting, but he was. I mean, he said things like the moon is connected to Saturn, and Saturn rings. That that it's a satellite, and it's basically creating a negative influence on the planet and the people and this that. And I'm like, if you subscribe to that, I suppose it will be correct.
Of course. That's
I mean,
kind of a sad story, actually.
It does. So it's like, I mean, but something does appear like a moon, and to me, it looks really beautiful.
Damn right.
And it's, and then I see this and I see that. So for me to subscribe to someone saying blah blah blah, if you're gonna say yeah, then obviously you're gonna empower that and be under that control mechanism if you want. But if you want to be free, you have to be somewhere in the middle. But then you have to be, when you're in the middle, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. That's what we're saying. You just know it's so important to know yourself and the kingdom that's within yourself, and then watch the magic. That's what we're saying at the end of the day. And
you know what? I got it. You mentioned a story, so I'll tell a story that I like. Okay, and it's a guy from Russia, and he calls himself Vibes of the Cosmos on YouTube. And this guy says that the moon is a reflection of our plane of existence that we live on. And he's got like our circular flat earth map, if you want to call it that, in one part of a bigger circle. Yeah. Oh, it's just intriguing, and I love it, and it's entertaining to me. It's not as if this is the truth. Right. You got to go there and watch this guy.
Yeah. Randall, what do you feel intuitively reference to the population of the world? Because we've been led to believe that there are sort of so many heads, so many billions of people. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know is my answer.
I don't know either. Like, we can never challenge the government when it comes to numbers. So who knows? Like, we do know that.
How can anyone do a head count? Is it like, what about some parts of Africa? Or because the way I'm beginning to feel the energy, if there is 6-7 billion people on the planet, when we try to, I hate to do this categorizing, but when we talk about civilized countries, let's define civilized, that you've got access to clean running water and that you've got your basic necessities in order. What percentage is that? I found out recently that something like 20% of the world has only access to internet or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Again, it's a story. So,
well, to if you're interested in stuff like that, try to experience it. Like when I was in China, that was on my mind. Like, okay, there's supposed to be 1.2 billion people here versus 300 million or 30 million in Canada.
Yeah.
So I traveled around and I looked around and I thought, they've built a lot of infrastructure here based on this credit system, right? Which operates under birth certificate in some nations and census and numbers in other situations. China, with a very, kind of government that just does whatever they want. Maybe they just said, well, we need more infrastructure, so let's just say we got more people. I don't know, maybe. But one thing I will say about population is that it's just concentrated in cities, and as soon as you go outside the city, you see the abundance. Like, I went outside of this little beautiful town of about 7,000, and there's like lots of little towns in this area because there's a lot of agriculture here and a lot of production. 20 million hogs in Iowa, you can imagine, and just thousands and thousands of acres of corn, both of which I don't really consider food, but that's going on, right?
Yeah.
But I went outside town the other day and I walked on trails that I'm sure, half a dozen people may have walked on in the last couple of years, besides myself and my darling Kelly. Like, it was just incredible. And I was out there for most of the afternoon because I could get on the phone and talk to the people that are messaging me right now, believe it or not. Our network, which includes, QFS people and Jasar Nassar people and GPMS people and, and all kinds of other cryptocurrency. These are all our network because they all just subconsciously sub-network in the world of money. And I've had like 3 or 4 of them. I'm going to be at work in 2 hours. Get a hold of me because we can do a transfer now. This kind of stuff, like constantly on my phone. So it's fun to be in that network. So I was out there on this land yesterday, and my phone was just going, and I'm sitting in the bush, and I took a couple pictures for them, and they were asking me where I was. So I showed them a picture of a tree root and things. What the fuck are you doing out there, Kaiser? Well, it's my office. What do you think? Like, I live in heaven. You want me to go to hell to go into some, government office? Or that's hell. It's correct. So I don't know where I was going with that, other than to say that sorry, what? Oh, the population. Yeah, sorry. My darling is participating.
I was going to say, I mean, not now, obviously, but will we get the chance to see lovely Kelly in the foreseeable future? Maybe we can organize something that will have you both present. When
Can you do one with her alone tomorrow? And then, she'd love to do that. And I think your fans would love to hear her perspective, because she lives in a different world, and it's heavenly. Like, honest to God, she lives in a very heavenly world. She doesn't think about what she's going to receive. She just receives it. And she gives, and she's infiltrated the world where I've infiltrated the world of money.
Yeah.
She's infiltrated the world of psychology.
I would be honored, because I also operate from that as well. That's called abundance, because you're not chasing anything, right? And I find that when you're not chasing and you're just going with the flow, I think people generally get more excited in your company as well, be it black or white, sweet or sour, male or female, it doesn't matter. And that because you're not going to be prejudiced. You're not going to say you have to be of a certain type. You have to be young, and yeah, I'd love to maybe this time tomorrow.
She said yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll reach out.
She's not gonna come on camera, but I gotta go pee again, so she can say hello.
Kelly, can I? You obviously don't have to come. I take it a little bit camera shy, but tomorrow we could do something, Kelly, if you want at some point.
That sounds amazing, and I apologize for Randy, because he is a water freak. In the morning, he will drink so much water because he just has this pure system. So yes, that's why he has to be absent. But yeah, Bear, I would love that. I think that sounds we have so much in common, and I I would love to just share some time with you and have a free flowing conversation like this and just, get to know one another better.
Okay, and we don't have to call it blah, or we can call it whatever we want. We just obviously I'll get your name typed out properly, and then we'll just take it from there. It's we're pretty flexible with time, I guess. Yes, for
Okay.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
It's the weekend for me, and so I don't have
It's the
clients.
strong end.
Yes, it's the strong end.
It's
Great.
not a weekend.
So I'll have Randy get you my contact information, and I appreciate it, and I'll look forward to that.
Great. Likewise. Randall. So I mean, we could wrap it up now if you want, Randall. It's always a pleasure, and
Well, wait. Let's talk. I just peed, so I'm good for another 10 minutes. So
yeah, absolutely. No problem. Right.
I can't go on for 2 hours because I say the same shit over and over again, and people get sick of it. Like, my YouTube channel has just shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. Cause the fuck, you still saying the same shit you said 2 fucking years ago. Well, yeah. Then go listen to somebody that's gonna entertain you better than I am, because all I'm gonna say is the same thing. Work with and never against. Find the perfection always. Know that you're part of the network no matter what. Doesn't matter. I don't need to join someone else's network. They're already part of mine if I allow that, and if they allow me. I mean, we're all one. We're all one network. We're all human beings. We're all constructing a collective story. My story is simple. I live in heaven. I love everything I do. I love everyone around me. I get turned off by some of the lies and the deception? Yeah, but I know they have to do that. That's part of their job. I love Justin Trudeau. He has to keep acting like a fucking complete utter moron, because there's a lot of people out there that still believe what he's saying. So if he just says something even just a little even more moronic, then they'll come into the world and say, okay, I understand why he's doing that. It was to just shock me into knowing that I can co-create with that government. If I want to make changes, I'll participate in it. I'll write to them. I do that every day still too. I wrote to these people that lobby the government concerning what they call basic income program. And I've said to them, well, basic is kind of a limiting word. We could call it just comfort income. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. They tell me that I'm one of their biggest wordly contributors. I've only sent them 3 or 4 emails. Like, they don't have much of a backing because everybody calls them fucking liberal socialists or some shit. They put a label on them because they want every human being to be comfortable. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I ran for mayor in a city of 1.4 million people because I wanted to participate and bring that to them. They're after me now, yesterday, almost 2 years after, and said, well, you didn't file your papers that showed your contributions that came into you. I said, I didn't have any contributions that came into me, and I didn't spend anything. I had a YouTube channel that got blocked because I mentioned that there was no pandemic, and just know that. Like, there was never a pandemic, and my whole YouTube channel got taken down. So I told the lady that yesterday on the phone, who was asking me about contributions. She says, really? I said, yeah. I said, well, it was just silliness. And I said, that's why I came to you guys. Well, all you have to do is sign this paper. I said, I don't sign anything. I autograph things, but I put UCC 1-308. What's that? I said, well, that means that I'm not liable for government babble and stories that governments tell. And then I giggle. And she says, okay. So she just kept asking him at the end of the conversation, or early in the conversation, she said, this is being recorded. I said, oh, that's so beautiful. Can you send my conversation to everybody in your network, like the prime minister, maybe? Like, so, whoever you want in government, because I love talking to government officials. I love every one of you. And I think the simplicity of what I'm saying could actually sink into each of you too, because it's simple. You know, there never was a pandemic. There's no lack of money to share with people. There's no limitations on things like oil and gas and commodities. There's no
Randall, there was no pandemic, but there was some kind of control mechanisms in place. And do you feel that there was, with storytelling a little bit now, but you look up in the sky on a beautiful azure sky, blue day, and you see the planes leaving a trail. What's that? Is that chemtrails? Because people say that's chemtrails. They're throwing a lot of heavy metals and nanoparticles. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. It could be, but again, do we energize that? Do we say it is and it's going to kill me?
You know what I've said to people, and this story has probably never been told on the web anywhere, is that we ask for faster and more communication, right? We want that. Even us on the social media, or the supposedly the other side from the ones that are doing these bad things, if they're doing bad things. So we want that. So what did we do? We got 5G. 5G is just a collection of that matter, once again, that vibrating energy. And our voices are vibrating energy, you know, so it starts the vibration at some frequency, right? And sends it out. So the idea of barium on mercury or strontium, any heavy metal that's being sprayed into the atmosphere, what could that be if we take that into account? It could be matter that is being sprayed around so that these frequencies and energies can actually function, and that we can speak to each other. So we're responsible for that too. We wanted it, so someone figured out a way to do it. Put more matter into the atmosphere so that it can bounce off things and create energy in these solar towers, for one, these silicon towers, and it can also put more energy to vibrate through the atmosphere so that our voices and our vibration of our talk can actually reach people. So what does that sound like to you? Like, it's just weird, isn't it? How you can find the good in everything. People used to say that to me as a farmer, like, you know, why are you taking that manure and piling it up? Well, because it's gold. There's gold in the bottom of that pile. Like, I can dig anything out of anything and find good in it, Barrett. Absolutely. Like, it doesn't matter what.
What about fluoride? I mean, because there's synthetic fluoride and there's natural fluoride.
Right.
So would you say anything synthetic which is alien to your body and you're ingesting it, do you feel that's good for the body? Or do you feel that a natural something is better and you bring it into equilibrium? So you look at, but in order to know natural, surely you got to see the synthetic.
Well,
how do you know something is natural?
Everything is natural.
Right.
Even synthetic is natural. It's manipulated by man, don't get me wrong, to get something out of it. So there's a man story involved with that to get something out of it, usually for profit. But it's all natural. So the story of fluoride, if you want to just go there for a second, is that most people believe that it helps to not cause cavities in children's teeth, right? So that's the narrative that's out there. Well, maybe it doesn't. I don't know that. Or not. But one thing I do know is that naturally, it doesn't matter what I put into this body, I can clean it by fasting. And that's what I do. And, you know, Kelly and I do that now all the time. We fast on the full moon for 3 or 4 days, and we've started now on the new moon for 2 days. So twice a month instead of once a month. And then do we ever fucking eat beautiful food, man? Oh God, I love food. And we put spices on it and stuff. I'm not saying we eat, you know, like pigs or anything like that, but we really enjoy the food that we eat together. and we put love into cooking it and stuff. And then we fast because we know it's all just fucking garbage anyway. And it's just there to enjoy, other than possibly the enzymes from the live food that we put in our bodies, like fruit and vegetables first thing in the morning, raw, gets the metabolism going, because there's then this beautiful harmonic dance of bugs, catalysts, enzymes, whatever word you want to put on it, that harmonizes our whole body and gets our cells all functioning and moving, and hi, we're just happy, and like, it's amazing. But any cooked food is just utter garbage. But does it taste good? Oh God, I love it.
Brother, when you were saying that even synthetic is natural, I suppose they try to copy, because I believe there's an original and there's a copy. Obviously, the original is always better. If you can't get the original, you go for second best, I guess, And if you do it for a short period, and whatever reason you're doing it, you get away with it. But prolonged periods, because I've heard stories about, like certain types of fluoride can, if you believe that there is a pineal gland and that gets calcified and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It's like, I think your intention, your thoughts being positive, and when you set intentions, I think that's very, very powerful. I feel that the thing that is the greatest medicine, obviously being in nature, but for me, it's like to create the highest possible intention for my fellow brothers and sisters. So while I'm in your company, what's my ulterior motive? To suck your energy, you've got contacts maybe, and it's going to make me look good. So if the intention is not about profit and self and greed and blah, 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 and it's just for just to share that space, and to create a degree of, ultimately it's to create that. You got to have that feel good factor. You got to feel good in yourself first, and then everything then becomes a byproduct, in a sense, through you, without you trying to do anything, whether you use words. You're leaving these wonderful impressions without saying anything. You're going places and leaving these markers, and people feel so energized, and you're actually energizing everything, not just people, right?
Let me just go back to the pineal gland, because I'm not going to deny that biologically there are things that affect that, okay? Because the pineal gland is definitely, but again, how many people talk about prions? Not very many. They focus on the pineal gland, but the prion, or the prion as some people call it, is there to collect. It's naturally existing prion protein that collects anything that's overabundant in our fatty brain. Like, there's no blood in there, it's just fat. And when these prions are working properly, they can take any amount of fluoride or chloride or mercury or strontium, barium, any heavy metals, and they get rid of them, right? So it's about, once you know little simple things like that, are you just going to continue to just take fluoride, or are you going to clean your body and take fluoride, or not have fluoride? You still got choices, right? But we can all tell each other things like that, and then it's still up to the human being. My God, we can never convince someone. If I tried to say, you have to fast, that's the only way you're going to live long life on this planet, how far is that going to go? But I do, and I drink my urine, and I snort it, and I pour it in my ears, and I wipe it on my eyes. How many people are going to go along with that one? But is my face clear? Of my 61-year-old man with a, Are
you serious? 61? Wow.
62.
You look 72. No, I'm joking. You look sorry.
Listen, I
But
told Kelly this morning I'm getting balder. Look at on this side there. It's actually getting balder. So I said, Kelly, I'm youthing even more. I'm going to go right back from being a 4-year-old to a 1-year-old again. Isn't that fucking amazing? Like, I'm so happy because I didn't have any hair when I was born.
if we, do you have any idea what is the most toxic part of one's body?
Most toxic? I don't know. Like, I think our intestines, because it gets clogged up.
The colon,
Yeah.
I've heard, because I've done a bit of research. Apparently, apparently, if you keep that cleansed, your liver, everything will. Because I use a particular modality, and it's an old Chinese modality. They sadly put my teacher into prison, but he's coming out soon because Big Pharma didn't like that because he was getting very, very good results very, very quickly. And all he was doing is clapping this bit here, which is a very powerful heart meridian here, and and here and other pressure points, whatever, because that's your major conductor for the orchestra. So it puts all the other organs into alignment. Okay.
Nice.
So whenever I'm feeling, because I hardly ever take medications, paracetamols and things like that. So if I feel that there is a blockage somewhere, it's telling you where it is. So then I just do this, or the eyes, or the ears, the mouth, and the chi, the energy starts to flow again. And again, stretching, breathing. But the way I breathe is from the nose. So and then I hold it for about 20, 30 seconds. And then I blow it out from the nose again. And I repeat a few times. And I feel really uplifted. Because when you were doing that exercise with the breathing, and that kind of like connected with me, and I thought that's really, really good stuff. So doing this, the breathing, the stretching, because as we get older, supposedly, we start becoming less elastic, and that's when pain can kick in. So doing all these stretching, like squatting, a lot of people struggle to squat because we were not supposed to, like the toilet is too comfortable and it doesn't rid all of the poo. So really you should be in a squatting position, and you're less likely to I've been in positions where when you do it properly, it comes out clean, it comes out, because we're being really open about our conversation, but it's like you mentioned the urine. I mean, it's true. And these little simple things for your number two, for example, to pay attention to the smell of your urine and also your poo. It shouldn't stick to the pan. It shouldn't really smell. So because the waste says a lot about what's going on inside of you. So you got to pay attention to that, So again, it's so simple and very, very effective. And, but it's been fantastic. I mean, we've done our 10, 15 minutes. So we can wrap it up if you want. We could do another one again, Randall, in the foreseeable future.
It's fun. I like I love conversing with you, Barrett. Ever since we met, it's been so much fun because you are balanced like I am as far as the masculine, feminine energy within. You are an enlightened man. We're still both growing. We're still both perfect, moving towards complete as far as our individual vessels and the ego, all of those kind of things that we consider ours. And I believe that we're both contributing to the collective by just giving our beautiful energy. I'm going to fucking admit that I got beautiful energy. I'm giving it to people who want to listen to it. And if they choose to listen to it, if they think I'm nuts, that's their choice. I'm never going to say that I want followers. I just want people to each find their heaven, which is inside in a mental state. And then on top of that, find it outside, which doesn't cost you anything, just like pee doesn't cost you anything, just like breathing doesn't cost you anything, just like slapping your arm doesn't cost you anything. Find those beautiful things that can bring you the perfect health that you and I are, Barrett, because we are perfect health if we think that and we just act on it.
Yeah.
Never go to an outside source.
I saw, because where you were on Charlie Ward, I think he was interviewing you, and I thought, look at this gentleman. I thought, what a pure individual. But going back to Charlie, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of interesting stories. I can't help, but I do like him. Although I hear a lot of crap on him, but I don't do the crap. I crap, but I don't do it in the sense that I don't want to, like, why should I, even if it's whatever, I want to neutralize. So if I'm with Charlie, you know, I don't see it that way. But it's like a lot of people are saying, you know, like Simon Parks, he's gone to the dark side or whatever. What dark side? Again, why are they saying that there is a dark side? Well,
because people are still stuck in that duality mentality. If they're not saying what they feel is moving forward, then you got to flip them to the other side. And I've done that myself, brother. I want to speak on an individual because we just said names, okay? And I've had a struggle with, and that's my friend who I love, Rick Jewers. I was struggling with experience and conversations with other people with him too. And I struggle with that still because it was, you know, sunk in with words. He is perfect. He is wonderful. He is moving toward creation. He's doing the same thing that Donald Trump and Joe Biden and all these other characters that are public are doing. He is leading people to a place of beauty. The challenge with me and Rick is that he thinks that he's got a different idea as far as GPMS. No, that's part of the same network. He is already, by using the word money, he's already part of the network. He's already one of the people that's in the network or sub-network of money. I love him for doing that. I love him for doing everything that he's doing, screwing his energy into the ground and then back up again. Those stories of decoding, or I can't remember the language he uses when he talks like that, but that is helping certain people to come out of a place of, you know, judgment. And it's beautiful stuff. Lee Mudway, another great friend of mine, he's discussing with me this morning. He had some questions after my video yesterday that I just said, you know, we're all part of one thing anyway. So to join something else, okay, you know.
Would you join a conversation with having Rick there and Lee, or would you find it
anytime.
You would have no problem?
I've invited them and we had conversations like that in the past. It kind of drifted away for a while, but you know, I'm open to converse with anybody. I'll talk about anything. I'm never going to get into a battle of judgment over anybody. And even though my mind from experience wants to say that there were things that Rick did that weren't good, so what? There's things that I did that weren't good. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm perfect, moving towards completion just like he is. So, you know, there's been a few people try to bring that to a head with me, and I just say, okay, that's your world. That's up to you to judge either one of us, you know. But you could pull out of that and just be polar. I've been told I was, like, you know, in the past fucking 40 years ago, I was labeled as bipolar. I said to the psychiatrist and the doctors, I said, no, like, I live on a flat earth plane that's polar. There's only one North Star. And then they're, well, that's grandiose thinking. That puts you into the bipolar end of things. No, that's polar. I'm a little manic, yes. I realize that my brain functions in a holistic sense that a lot of people can't even listen to it. But that's okay. You know, it's up to you to not listen or to listen. I'm not going to judge anybody or anything to a point of judgment. I'll voice my opinion and I'll say things that I've heard, but does that mean I'm judging anybody? No. We're all just part of one
Would
thing
you
that's going on, and that is polarity. That is
would
beyond
you
duality.
would you support GPSM
I
GP?
did. As soon as I seen it, I put my autograph on it, but I will never use the word signature because I don't understand it,
Yeah,
but I comprehend it. So then I autograph. And that's what I
yeah,
tell government people. If they say, well, you got to sign this. No, I'll autograph it because I comprehend what you're trying to portray as a story, but I'm not going to give my consent by falling for the story itself. I believe that you believe in what you're believing. I'm
yeah.
not going to argue with you. If you believe in government, if you believe in Joe Biden or Donald Trump or something, you're free. Everybody is. That's what sovereignty is. And so am I. But
Yeah.
I'll consent by giving my autograph. And I gave my autograph to GPMS when I first heard about it. Like that's a good idea. It's comfort for all humans. They've changed the story once in a while and they've put some value on it. Okay, as soon as you put value on a monetary story, well, now you're in the subnetwork of money. And even by just saying global people's monetary system, you've inserted yourself into the monetary subculture or subconscious group network because you're thinking about it and doing something about it. So we're all part of one thing already anyway. So to say that I have to join it, well, you've already joined it by
Yeah.
admitting that your one word in your title is monetary. You joined it. Nobody has to join you. You've joined it, the monetary collective subconscious, subculture, whatever you want to call it.
Thank you, brother. I mean, I like yourself, I always raise my game and my frequency when I'm amongst like yourselves, Randall. I feel so empowered and uplifted. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you again for coming and connecting with. It's just a label again by Activator. It's not the words that it's another blah blah blah, but it's the frequency, it's the energy that we're putting behind it, which is love. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you again and sending you so much love, and I'll reach out to Kelly tomorrow at some point and just put some times. The later, the better for me. I'm sure it will work out. Maybe around about this time-ish, a little bit earlier, maybe. But I'll put the feelers out to Kelly and invite her to Bioactivator platform and just have a free flow conversation about the current energies and what's happening. And yeah, it's great.
Within the field that she's infiltrated. Like I've infiltrated, and I admit, the banking and okay, I'm back. Just had a call coming in, so I had to get rid of it. But she's, I'll call it, infiltrated and gone within the world of psychology, which she has, a master's degree in social counseling, and to hear stories from her that I've heard are just amazing. I'm like, oh God, that's so cool to be able to be inside that controlled mechanism, which is also the banking world. It's controlled, and yet bring that beautiful natural energy into it of love. Oh fuck, man, it is just, you'll hear some neat stories from her. So
looking
you.
forward, looking forward, looking forward.
And thank you is a story too. Just before we go, I want to just say that thank you is a story, but it's unnecessary because you're thanking yourself, and I'm thanking myself for allowing myself to be part of you. It's just gratitude for all that is, and that's the way I feel. That's why I stay in heaven. If I went anywhere else and said, you know, oh, you're welcome, then I'd fall into some world of hierarchy or something like that. And I'm not going to. I'm the same as you. And love is what keeps that sameness and that comfort in our hearts, brother. So I love you. That's what I want to say.
Love you too. Peace and love. And we'll do it again someday soon.
Okay.
We'll reach out. And in the meantime, love and light.
Love and light, love and everything. I'll see you soon.
See you, brother. Take care. Thank you so much.
You betcha.
Ciao, ciao.
I don't know how to shut it off.
I think I have to do it on my end.